The Fan.
Hello, everybody. Ajay, Salvesen alongside Eric Frandsen, and we are going to try and make it a happy Monday for you. It is going to be a bold reaction Monday here in the Cash Valley Radio Network, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan. Grateful to have you joining us, however, and wherever you may be doing so. We got a lot to get to. We have a shortened show today. Monday Night Football will feature the Cowboys and Giants. You'll hear that game on this station, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. So we will have enough time to be able to break down BYU. We're not going to... Look, here's what we'll do. We're going to talk BYU today, and then we're not going to talk about BYU the rest of the entire season. We're done. Okay? And here's the thing. Eric and I are here for you, and I don't know if it's still a reaction Monday, Eric, if you're still into that, but 435-752-1069. For those who weren't able to get into the postgame and or just fell asleep or were so angry that you didn't want to call in and say something you shouldn't, now that you've had a couple days to breathe, you can do that now. 435-752-1069. Eric's going to give his hard, raw reaction thoughts to it. I'll give mine as well. Some will be bold. Some will make you cringe. Some will make you think. Some will make you disagree with us, and maybe some of it you'll agree. That's fine. That's what it's here for. But 42-14, BYU runs roughshod over the Aggies in every way possible, and we'll get into that and more again. 435-752-1069. You can call in and maybe you have a bold take or two on this team as well. This is a very, I don't know if fragile would be the word, but it seems like it after two back-to-back blowout losses. And is that too sensitive to say, Eric?
That this team is fragile? There's a lot of adjectives I think I could use. Fragile. I don't know. I don't know, Ajay. That's just it. I don't know what is going on. And I think that's why a lot of Aggie fans are frustrated this weekend. It's been building, and it percolated to the top. And for some, they're blowing a gasket. Utah State, in their 3 losses here recently, 3 of their last 4 games, they've been outscored 115-27. A team that was averaging more than 40 points a game last year is barely averaging 9 points a game right now, at least in their losses. The Nevada game, it's a little bit of an outlier. Nevada's really, really bad. And even in that game, it wasn't until late in the game that things really opened up for Utah State offensively. There's clearly something amiss. For a while there, I thought maybe it's just the quarterback. He's not dialed in. I have to think about. I tried to make excuses that there was a big talent drop off, an experience drop off with the offensive line because there's all these new guys starting at offensive line. There's not as many talented wide receivers and big-sized wide receivers. But look what the team did at Wake Forest. Look what the team did at San Diego State. And this is a different team now than what we saw in those games earlier in the year. That's what's so hard for me to wrap my head around is what's going on. Because yes, there are some injuries that have happened. David Woodward not available. It does make a difference. Does it make that much of a difference? Probably not. But what? Come on. This is a totally different team. The offense did look better Saturday night than we've seen it in several weeks, but they gave it away 5 times. 5 offensive drives were killed because of turnovers. And the other thing I don't understand, so 2 weeks ago it was, why doesn't Gary Anderson use his timeouts to try to get Air Force off the field? He never used one. Why doesn't he use a timeout to get his offense dialed up to make sure they get a third down conversion? He never used one. This last Saturday, why is it when this game is clearly decided with still 4 or 5 minutes to go,
is Jordan
Love still on the field? Why? It makes no sense. There's no benefit. Pull him out. It's a non-conference game. Get your backup in there. Jordan had a better game than he's been having, but he still threw 3 picks. Granted, that last one came late in the game. But why not give Henry Colombi some time? Why not give your other guys some time? The game has been decided. Why risk injury? Why make things even worse? And they did get worse because he threw another pick. Why are we trying to pad his stats? Are we trying to boost his confidence? At that point in the game, it doesn't matter. Pull him out. I'm no longer of the belief that it's a player problem solely. I think you have to consider all options, but there is something on the sidelines that is not right with Utah State football. What it is, I can't tell you exactly. But I can tell you, by observing what's going on as an outsider and paying a close attention to it, something is not right. And it's got to get fixed fast. This team is still 3-1 in conference. Let's keep that in mind. They're still 3-1 in their conference with an outside shot that they could still compete for a Mountain Division title and maybe even get to a conference championship game. But Ajay, the way this team has looked in the last 4 games, I'm not even sure they can make a bowl game, let alone try to compete for a Mountain West Conference championship. Who do they have left on the schedule? They have 4 games left. They travel to Fresno. They come home to host Wyoming. They host Boise, and then they travel to New Mexico. I think they can beat New Mexico. They're a really, really bad team. Everybody else, I don't know. Earlier in the year, a month ago, I would have said Fresno State, Aggies can get them. They don't look near as tough as they used to be. Now, I don't know. Wyoming, they play tough defensively. I think they've got some shakiness on their offense. They've had a quarterback problem with injuries. I don't know if the Aggies can beat the Cowboys. I certainly don't think that they can beat Boise State. Boise State defense is suspect. They let BYU and San Jose do a lot of things against them. But Utah State can't outscore those guys. Not when you're only averaging 9 points a game.
435-752-1069. If you want to call in and share your thoughts, and to give your take on this past weekend, 42-14 loss to BYU. Aggies now get ready to head to Fresno State. That's a 5 p.m. game, which, by the way, speaking of which, it has been announced that Wyoming will now be on ESPNU, and get this, everybody, is a 2 p.m. start. That's right. On ESPN, that's the University Channel, USU and Wyoming will be a 2 p.m. start, which is a really, really good thing for all of us. So you have so Boise State will be your final 8:30 game of the season.
Yeah, we now know all the kick times.
Yeah, so
right?
Fresno
Everything
State
is
at 5.
set.
Yeah, Fresno State at 5. Wyoming's at 2. Boise State at 8:30, and then New Mexico at New Mexico will be a 2 p.m. game. 435-752-1069. If you got any thoughts on the Aggies,
and we'll get into a little bit more next hour with comments from Gary Anderson. But so many different things, Ajay. I mean, all week long we heard comments from the players and the coach that we got to be more physical. It was going to be a more physical practice. BYU pushed Utah State around. Whatever they wanted on offense, they got. So I don't know what's going on. David Woodward being out, that's an emotional blow, besides the fact of his talent on the field. how many drives would he have helped stop? Maybe a few. But it's not that defensive Swiss cheese was not because David Woodward was not out there.
Yeah. By the way, if you haven't heard yet, David Woodward is out for the season. Injury was not specified in. At least it wasn't specified when I was listening to it. I don't know if it was specified at the podium. Was it?
No, he just said he was out.
Okay.
He was very generic.
Then I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Specified, there was no specification on the injury, but he is out for the year. We'll keep it at that because I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to say and get myself in trouble. So, again, no David Woodward. You could see that it affected this team. We'll get into the audio of what Coach Anderson's thoughts are on that and how they have to, Kevin Metzenheimer is such a good football player. We're starting to see it, but you don't want to put all the weight on him.
Well, we've been seeing it for quite a bit, but the last two losses, where's the defensive line? That was supposed to be such a highly touted, very deep defensive line. Where have they been?
Yeah.
BYU had gaps all over the place. They made the USU defense look absolutely silly.
435-752-1069 again. If you got any thoughts on the Aggies, you're more than welcome to call in. We're actually going to get to other topics as well, and if you want to call in on something else and tell us, let us know. It
was a big weekend for high school football playoffs.
It was a big heartbreaker for one team, a big blowout wins for two of them, and then, of course, the other three saw their season end in really non-dramatic fashion, to say the least. We'll get into that in just a bit. Utah Jazz blow two really winnable games that they should have won, and it was on the strength of, the lack of strength of doing one simple thing in those two games. There's one common theme to it. We'll get to that as well. And then again, Monday Night Football pregame on this very station with the Giants and Cowboys will start at 5:45. I need Dak Prescott to get me 24 points to get me a win in fantasy.
Oh, I forgot to even check my roster.
Dak, dude.
I don't even know if I had
so
guys
you probably
playing.
lost by like 100, huh?
Oh.
You genius.
I totally forgot about all that.
We'll also get to a little bit of NFL. We'll talk about a few games. We'll skip over one that really nobody cares about. And we'll talk about the rest of them. It was not a good weekend for me.
A good team played another good team.
Oh, you know what? No.
And only one of those good teams could win.
You know what? You and Colin Coward and Max Kellerman probably are best friends, aren't you? We're Patriot haters.
Got them on speed dial.
We're Patriot haters. Look at us, huh? All right.
No, I'm just...
No, you are.
It makes the point of the argument I was making 2 weeks ago.
You give credit to Lamar Jackson just having a good night. Because that team got throttled by the Browns, who the Patriots beat.
I have said nothing to take away from his performance.
You're about to. I know you are. We also, by the way,
he just helped make a point that I was making 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Good for you. We also need to get to, speaking of regional and football, we'll also hand out our, hey, don't forget our bread and butter, that's right, it's our bread and butter play of the week, Skyview High School football. If you know what that bread and butter play of the week is, when we ask for the phone call in and you can win not 1, not 2, but not 3, but 4 loaves of bread. You're
like a late night infomercial guy. Not 1, not 2.
And
call
there's
now.
More.
I won't even give you 3.
And there's more.
Call now and I'll throw in a 4th loaf of bread.
I should do that. You know what?
Listen
just for getting
the
answer right the first time, you get a 4th bread.
Listen for the cue to call, burter, and you can get not 1, not 2,
hey, don't
not
forget
3,
our bread.
But 4 loaves of bread. Call now.
I hate you. By the way, we will have audio from Coach Anderson today. No players were involved in the press conference today. It was just Coach Anderson solo.
When was the last time that happened?
I don't know if it's ever happened. At least in the 3 years I've been covering the Aggies, from my standpoint, it's never happened.
I don't recall during the Matt Wells years that he ever held back players at a press conference. I can't even recall in Gary's first stint if he held back players.
Here's the thing.
I said, I think something is amiss. I don't know what it is. Can't pinpoint it. But there are clearly some things that aren't right.
You and I had a conversation off air earlier. No, I won't say anything. Yeah, okay. Never mind. I just don't want to get myself in trouble because there are certain people listening, and I don't want to. Get us in harm's way.
Look, because you got to respect things you learn in confidence. But nobody told me anything, so I can speak freely. But you can. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. So I'm seeing what everybody else is seeing. A coach on the sidelines who doesn't try to take timeouts to rally his team. A coach on the sidelines who doesn't pull out his quarterback who's clearly still having problems when there's plenty of time for somebody else to get in there and do something. Not letting players attend the press conference.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, that's...
Now, great. It made my job easier.
You can't read... That doesn't necessarily mean a lot. But something's going on.
The thing... It's just because... Bill Belichick once said that these press conferences that he does is more about for the fans than it is for the media. Because he's communicating to the fans through the media. And so I always had a different outtake with that, too. That, when these coaches speak, that's why I tweet out some of the highlights of the press conference, because it's to the fans. He's talking to the fans about his thoughts on, the past week's game and his thoughts going on to the next game and what he's seen so far and maybe what to expect or how the kids are, just something like that. Now, sure, there are a couple media items in that regard, but I feel like the press conferences were always meant for the fans. And when you take two players out of that, or at least the players out of it, I feel like it limits that ability to be able to hear or, I don't know, as a fan, get the coverage you want on the Aggies.
Right. I mean, a head coach already tries to filter the information that gets released anyway. But that just screams of a bigger filter that's trying to be put in place about controlling the flow of information.
Things are different this year. And that's all I'll say. Things are a little bit different. But again, the Aggies, nonetheless, look, BYU is a non-conference loss. That does not affect their standing in the Mountain West Conference in any way, shape, or form. That's the good news.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great news. The bad news is you got Fresno, Wyoming, and Boise State. Fresno's a beatable game. Wyoming's pretty tough. Boise State's Boise State. That's all you need to know there. That's a gauntlet that you have to get through. And things need to be fixed. And that's the other thing is, look, you had someone told me today, and I know a ton of people have been talking to you, Eric, after they want to know your thoughts, they want to know what's going on, they want to know what they, if can the Aggies fix it. I had someone come to me today and say, well, look, they can, they'll be pumped up for this game because it's Mountain West Conference and it means something. And, they got beat really badly, so they're going to be geared up. They got beat badly by Air Force and then had to prep for BYU.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And then they got beat badly again by 28 by a third-string quarterback. Wasn't even a starter. It was third string. So that whole thing is out the door. You need to start finding ways to go win these football games. And I don't know. I mean, if it's a Mountain West Conference game, there's obviously more importance to it. You'll hear Gary Anderson in a little bit just talk about just that. But there's some things that got to change, and both offensively and defensively, and they got to be fixed quickly because Fresno State, and especially Wyoming and Boise State, will eat you alive if you give those teams second chances and opportunities.
Ajay, we got some high school football we want to get through. We're going to make sure we give credit to the teams that played well and the others that were able to participate in the second round of the playoffs. We'll update you on what those scores were, who advances, then who do they play, what does it look like, and how you can follow along this week. So, and we'll give away some bread.
Hey, don't forget our bread and butter.
So if you know what the bread and butter, the Old Grist Mill bread and butter play of the game was for the Skyview Bobcats and their game on Friday night, if you can correctly identify what the bread and butter play was.
Hey, don't forget our bread and butter.
Call 435-752-1069, and if you get it correct, not one, not two, not three, but call now and get 4 loaves of bread from the old grist mill.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
I remember how it used to feel riding down old 2 Mile Hill.
Oh my gosh, what are we listening to?
This is good stuff, man.
Handlebars.
4:23 your time on November 4th. It's a Monday afternoon, whether you like it or not.
This
song
who
is
that? It's like a very popular classic country guy, and I can't put my name on it.
Yep, come on
Finger
now.
on it.
Come on.
I'm not.
Oh, it's a great song.
It's not going to come to.
Randy Travis.
Oh, Randy Travis.
Look, Hart, no hands. I love it. Well, needless to say,
Not my cup of tea. Sorry.
Aggies on Saturday said, "Look, Mom, no eyes, no hands, no arms, no legs." Our bread and butter play of the week has been correctly identified. Brianne Perkins called in and correctly identified the play. I love how on the email it says, "So at the first."
That's so
Skyview bread and butter play of the game versus Cedar Valley. Back-to-back plays in the second quarter. Kason Carlson, who, by the way, has came alive. I mean, that kid as a quarterback has all of a sudden made his running as an all-Region 11 MVP.
We'll find out.
On third and long, he hit Brigham Lewis across the middle on a pass for 36 yards, and then that led to a TD. And then on the next play, Carlson threw it to Mason Falsliv. That was for 25, and it gave Skyview a 38-0 lead with 3:18 left in the first half. Carlson, Tom Brady asked 6 TDs. I about said something else. 6 TDs and 1 rushing TD on the night. Don't give me that look. Don't. You stop it.
I'm trying not to make eye contact with you.
Skyview wins it over Cedar Valley 62-0. Green Canyon also advances to the second round 28-21. They get to play Pineview in the 4A quarterfinals on Friday. That'll be at Green Canyon. Game time has been scheduled for 5?
The Green Canyon game?
Yeah.
That'll be at 3 o'clock on Friday.
Okay. Skyview, they now advance to play Mountain View in the 4A quarterfinals. That'll be in Skyview. That game is now a 6 o'clock game Friday night.
Yes.
So 5:45 pregame here?
Right here. Yep.
Okay. So before we get to the other games, Eric, a dominating performance by Skyview, led by none other this Carlson kid who came in for quarterback after Mason Faltov went out, has been nothing but so productive for this team. It's been really impressive to watch this coaching staff develop and be productive and produce offensively without Mason Faltov having to handle the ball every single second.
It's been outstanding. Great. I think what's going on at Skyview is pretty special. I mean, look what's gone on. When they started, they opened up region play against Green Canyon, and they won that game. It was a battle, but Skyview won 32-24. Since that time, Skyview has only given up 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
That was in mid-September, Ajay. Logan scored 14 points. Everybody else has been completely shut out. Skyview has shut out 5 of their last 6 opponents.
Wow.
So it's not just great offense with what's going on with Carlson and Falsliv at wide receiver, among others. It's a really stout defense for the Bobcats that, frankly, not enough people have been talking about.
Absolutely. Again, 62-0 Skyview over Cedar Valley. Green Canyon had a big lead and then had to hold on for dear life, including Cedar recovering an onside kick, and then had their rally shot down by a Hail Mary pass that was picked off to end the game. But Green Canyon escapes, and they move on to the second round.
Yeah, Cedar City gave Green Canyon a lot. Green Canyon, I think there was maybe some thought that they would roll over them.
Yeah.
But it was a really tough game, a hard-fought battle. And now they face Pineview, a team that started their season in Cache Valley. Pineview began their year going up, traveling to Ridgeline, and to take on the Riverhawks. That game was decided in extra time, and Ridgeline won 58-56. The following week, they lost at Highland, but since that time, they have been on a bit of a tear. They've been winning every game, and they beat Bear River 49-7 on Friday in the playoffs, and frankly, it wasn't really that close either.
No, Bear River is dominated by Pineview. Final score 49-7. That ends their season. Dixie over Ridgeline 38-7, and the winner of that game was going to face Stansbury Mountain Crest. Now, Mountain Crest, this was a back-and-forth game. What a fun game this was for me to be able to call. But Mountain Crest, I mean, really, it was a more well-played ball game than anything else. And at one point, Mountain Crest held a 14-0 lead, lost that 14-point lead in a heartbeat, and then it was just back and forth from there. Mountain Crest had one field goal block, but then the other one they had made to give them a 24-21 lead. And then Stansbury got the ball back with about 1:03 left and only one timeout. They drove 81 yards in 41 seconds to win that ball game. I mean, it was just impressive. And their quarterback Crew was just, I mean, he was running for his life all night, but he continued to find receivers open all night. On that final drive, there was 2 pass interference calls, one on Mason Baldwin, the other on Taylor Bitton. That one was in the end zone on 3rd and 5. And so penalties just killed Mountain Crest, which was kind of a theme of it all year for them. They fall 28-24 to Stansbury nonetheless, so Dixie and Stansbury will meet up at Dixie. And then the final game, Logan sees their season come to an end as they fall to the number 1 ranked and still undefeated Park City Miners.
Yeah, I thought Logan actually played them quite tough. Mm-hmm. I thought Logan struggled to get into the end zone. They didn't, but they played tough. Park City, a team that has made short work of a lot of other teams that they've faced. So give Logan credit for making it tough on the Miners all night long. But ultimately, Logan does lose that one 20-0. Dixie, I want to go back to the Dixie Ridgeline game. I was listening to a good chunk of that game. And Ridgeline, I thought, played actually pretty well in that one. It was the second half that Dixie really pulled away. But give the Riverhawks some credit. They started strong and then were shaky in the middle, and then at the end of the year tried to get some things turned around a little bit. That was a young team. A lot of players, younger underclassmen playing a lot of different roles for the Riverhawks. So that's a team that could be really interesting next year, as they've gotten a lot of experience and will be coming back.
Don't want to forget about Idaho 2A football. Bear Lake shuts out Firth. They'll travel, 14-0 was the final score. They travel to Melba on Friday, November 8th in the 2A quarterfinals.
That'll be at 7 o'clock on Friday.
Westside over
Ryrie.
Rear end. Westside wins 22-0.
Both Bear Lake and Westside have been playing some really good football. Interesting, both of them shut out their opponents. Westside gets to host the next game, so Cole Valley will be coming to Dayton, and that game will be Friday at 5. McCall Donnelly, 52-0 over Malad. They win easily. Preston falls short in their matchup in the 4A football playoffs to Minico, 47-21. Yeah, that's too bad because Preston played Minico earlier in the year, and that was down to the wire. Minico won, I believe that one by 2 points, 27-25, I think. And it was a really hard-fought, close game, but here in the playoffs, it was a different story. Minico had the advantage and took care of Preston.
So that's your final scores. Again, Green Canyon and Skyview move on. Bear River, Ridgeline, Mountain Crest, and Logan all prepare for basketball season, which comes up, believe this, in 3 weeks. We start basketball season in Region 11, and we're already going. Are you ready, Eric? No.
Sure.
You're not even, you don't even want to deal with it.
No, but look, there's still 2 teams involved in Region 11, and Westside is still involved and Bear Lake, so we still have some teams in the area that are still active, right? They still have some chances to do some things. I'm not surprised to see Green Canyon and Skyview still involved. I did think that there was another team that might get a road upset.
I did too.
I thought it would be Mountain Crest.
And they were a minute 3 away.
They were the closest. But Skyview and Green Canyon are on opposite sides of the bracket from each other. So it's conceivable they could face each other for the championship, but it'll be tough.
Yeah, it will be. But the great thing about that is, look, the bigger ticket to a bigger game, right? That's what happens when you win in the playoffs, and that's the case here. And the competition's going to get a lot tougher, even in this quarterfinal matchup. The matchups are really, really good.
They are. Mountain View has been a really good team most of the year. Their only losses, they lost to Park City. They got dominated by Park City, and they lost to Stansbury. They lost by 3 to Stansbury. And so Mountain View will be coming up to play Skyview. Who has the better view, the sky or the mountain? I guess we'll find out.
Oh, the mountain.
You want to say the sky is better, because you want Skyview to beat Mountain View. Anyway, we digress.
That was a horrible job on your part.
That was really weird. Anyway, but I think I'd still give Skyview the advantage.
Sure.
In that matchup. Green Canyon is going to have a real challenge trying to slow down a Pineview team that has a very high-powered offense that likes to move the ball around a lot, can score a lot of points on you. So that game is going to be really on that Green Canyon defense to hang with it. It will help that the game is here in Logan and that Pineview has to travel all the way up here.
We hope it helps.
Yeah.
Come on, Green Canyon. Represent. You know what?
It's a long bus ride.
And by the way, so I've been told and notified that there is no permanent or announced location for the 4A state championship game in case two teams from the same area meet up. So, for example, if it was Dixie and Pineview, they don't want them going to, Salt Lake to play a game. They would rather just have them play nearby, somewhere where it's close, where all the fans can see them in the community. Same thing for the Northern Utah area. If it is Green Canyon and Skyview, they want to keep them within range that the whole community can see them, which I absolutely love and I absolutely agree with.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So they have that. They're giving themselves that kind of flexibility.
Yeah, and it's
because it's about the players and it's about the fans, right? So why ship the teams off to some location that very few people can attend?
Yeah.
Why do you want to play a championship game that no one's going to be there for?
Yeah.
So I think way to go, UHSAA. Make it happen.
You did something right. Congratulations.
But if it's like a Cache Valley school versus a Utah County school or even a Southern Utah school, it would still be held probably centrally located in Salt Lake City.
Sure.
Correct?
Sure, yeah. All right, so we're going to take a break, come back. We're going to talk some Mountain West Conference football and some top 25 football. A lot of big ranked teams, a lot of big ranked matchups. Chips have been falling. Where do teams stand? The first release of the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow around 5 o'clock. Eric and I are going to give our projections on where the top 5 teams sit and where a team from Salt Lake City, their chances of being able to creep in if they can take care of business from here on out. We'll also get into, again, Mountain West Conference action. Boise State's tested by a very scrappy, good San Jose Spartan football team. That's right, you heard me say good San Jose State Spartan football team.
Good offense.
Absolutely.
Their defense is suspect, but they do have a really good offense.
We'll also, and don't forget, and don't worry, whether you like it or not, we're going to talk Utah State Aggie football, because that's what we're here for. That's our job. Either good or bad, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to be upfront and honest.
Well, a lot of people want to hear what does Gary Anderson have to say for himself and for his team in 2 really bad performances in back-to-back games.
You can join in as well at 435-752-1069. Coming back, Full Court Press on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The new home for the Full Court Press. Weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
I like this better than the last music you brought us out with. Much better, Ajay. Thank you. I'll take the Peppers over that.
Randy Travis, he's a classic. Hey, don't forget the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters are coming to Cache Valley on Friday night, November 8th. And congratulations to our honorary junior Harlem Globetrotter winner, Carter Perry, Sierra Godfrey, Michaela Lundberg, and Emmett Hendrickson. That's right. Congratulations to you. The world-famous Harlem Globetrotters are coming to Cache Valley this Friday, November 8th. They get to be honorary ball kids. Ball kids, where they get an autograph ball, right, and some gear?
Yeah, and they get right down there, courtside. Okay, so you can get your tickets at ticketweb.com, but I got to tell you a story about this.
Okay.
I was talking to a friend the other day, And she was like, "Oh yeah, it sounds fun. We should get some tickets to go see the Harlem Globetrotters. It's this close, and they're, everybody knows about the Harlem Globetrotters." But she's like, "But I went online, and they're like $80 a ticket." I'm like, "What?
That can't be right.
Where are you looking?" And so she pulls it up and shows me, and she went to she just Googled it and hit one of those ads. Right under the Google search, it's always a sponsored something.
Yep.
I said, first of all, big mistake. Don't ever do that. Don't always click on the ad. Who knows where they're going to send you? And I said, second thing is, go to ticketweb.com. And so she pulls it up. Oh, gosh, they're way cheaper than that.
That's a good infomercial right there. Go to ticketweb.com. What are you doing?
So, and then use the promo code SAVE5, and you'll save $5. So
again, ticketweb.com this Friday night,
November 8th. We're saving you money, letting you know what's fun.
At Ridgeline High School, don't forget, what a cool thing that is. So again, a special and a big congratulations to the Globetrotter junior or the honorary junior Harlem Globetrotter winners, say that 10 times. Carter Perry, Sierra Godfrey, Michaela Lumberg, and Emma Hendrickson are the honorary ball kids. That's awesome. They get a ball signed by the team. They get to be right there up close and personal with the players, and that's cool. That's
really
a neat
cool.
thing.
So appreciate all the people who registered through our website for that contest. It was a lot of fun doing it. Glad we could be participants in that, and hope everybody goes out and has some fun.
Yeah, go out there, and Eric, I'd like to see you get crossed over by one of those guys.
I'd get cross-eyed just looking at some of those guys. The way they move the ball so fast.
Oh, man.
All the crazy stuff they do, the stunts. Anyway.
They have great ball movement. They're a little bit sloppy, though, sometimes with the passing. If they want to have any chance to be able to win their conference, they're going to have to be better with their passing.
I don't think it was my first Harlem Globetrotters experience, but I think it was the second Harlem Globetrotter experience when I was a kid. We went to a game, and they played the Washington Generals? Is that their name? And the Generals, were leading near the end of the game, wait a minute, Dad, how is this possible? I was with my dad, and I thought this whole thing was scripted, and the Globetrotters are always supposed to, kill these guys because they make them look silly. And I think the Globetrotters actually pulled it out in the end and won, but we were both of us laughing about how it's not as scripted as you think. Sometimes, those guys get a little bit tired of getting made fun of every night, so maybe they play a little bit harder and make their shots. But it's fun nonetheless. It's always entertaining.
No, it is a blast. Hey, let's get into some NCAA college football. We'll save the Aggie stuff for the 5 o'clock hour and kind of get a hold and get a grip on what exactly happened in that disastrous game on Saturday night. 42-14 your final score at Maverick Stadium. Aggies fall to 4-4, and we'll tell you why that is such a big problem on a bigger spectrum in to finish out the season. We'll get into that more here in the 5 o'clock hour. By the way, again, just one more time, it's a shortened show tonight because of Monday Night Football, Cowboys Giants. So we'll get out of here about 5:45. You'll hear a pregame, and then you'll get the call of the Cowboys Giants Monday Night Football game. Pretty cool that we're doing that.
Not a lot. I mean, there were a few upsets in top 25 college football. Not a lot that was surprising. I mean, it started early in the week with Appalachian State losing to Georgia Southern. That's going to loom large for what comes out tomorrow. There was also another big upset that will loom large with what comes out tomorrow, and Memphis beating SMU 54-48. So the question is, why I keep bringing that up, is who is that group of 5 representative? Cincinnati. They won their game in a close one, in a nail-biter. They needed a late field goal to win that game against East Carolina, who was only 3-6. But they won that one 46-43. So Boise State won their game as well. But looking at the rankings and the college football playoff poll, which comes out this week, it's important to see who that highest-ranked group of 5 representative is, and right now it's Cincinnati sitting in the driver's seat, ranked 17th right now in the AP and the coaches, but will they still be the highest in the college football playoff poll? That's
the question everybody wants to know. Those announcements will come out, by the way, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on ESPN. You'll get all the releasings of where every team stands, but more importantly, where the top 5 stand. As you talked about, no really major upsets. I mean, a couple of ranked matchups that were big. Of course, Florida, Georgia being one of those. Georgia beats Florida. The score wasn't really indicative of how actually in control Georgia was of this game. 24-17 your final.
And it was part of our pick six. What was the rushing totals?
So what was the line that we set it at? By the way, I lost like 4-2 on this thing, which sucks.
Yeah, we did our pick six, and Ajay got 2 correct. I got 4 correct.
Go Patriots, go Aggies, go pick six.
One of the things you got was you set the line for Georgia versus Florida. Florida rushing yards at 130.5.
They finished at 21, thanks to minus 21 yards by one player.
21. It's incredible.
They lose 24-17, so Georgia with a big top 10 win. Oregon over USC 56-24. Utah scraps back and gets over Washington, that Chris Peterson scrappy Washington Husky team, 33-28.
In Seattle, which has been a tough place for them to get wins.
Which will get you major bonus points come tomorrow night. Again, as you already mentioned, Cincinnati 46-43 winners over East Carolina.
And Oregon gets by the skin of their teeth. Well, not really. That was the week prior. Both Utah and Oregon were winners in the Pac-12.
Still on their way in the path for a showdown for the Pac-12 title, which could come in handy if you want to be in that college football playoff.
Yep.
If things can shake out the way they do. One of the bigger upsets of the night, SMU ranked number 15th in the country. They fall 54-48 to Memphis, ranked number 24th in the country. So the AAC?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they're loaded this year, Eric.
But they got a lot of good teams. Cincinnati, SMU, Memphis. They got 3 teams in the top 25 right now.
All right, Eric, so let's have some fun here.
Also, I want to mention that San Diego State is into the top 25. They were in the AP a week ago. They moved up 1. They're now in the coaches' poll, so they're ranked 24th in both polls. Boise State, 21st in both polls.
And who is their one loss to?
Yeah.
Boy, that feels like years ago right now.
Seems like that was a different team back then.
Again, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, you can find out the college football playoff release of the first of 6 rankings.
Okay, so the AP and the coaches have a different order.
They do.
For their top 5. They are the same teams in the top 5, but they have a different order.
Give us our AP and what it looks like. Do you have it?
AP has LSU,
okay,
Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Penn State.
In that order?
In that order.
Okay, what is the coaches?
Coaches has Alabama at number 1, then LSU, Clemson at number 3, Ohio State, and Penn State.
Now,
the only thing that's the same about both is that Penn State's number 5.
And by the way, Penn State, Minnesota, showdown at Minnesota this weekend. There's some good games, including Alabama and LSU on Saturday afternoon. Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Ohio State, and Penn State are all undefeated. Why does that matter? Because Georgia, Oregon, Oklahoma, and Utah that follow behind them are all one-loss teams. So let's have some fun here, Eric. Let's go through. Let me give you a scenario, and I want to hear what you have to say. Alabama beats LSU by 8. Clemson, Ohio State win. Penn State loses. Georgia, Oregon, Oklahoma, and Utah all win. What is your top 5? Where does your top 4 look like? Again, Alabama beats LSU by 8. Clemson, Ohio State, and Penn State, or Clemson, Ohio State win. Penn State loses. Georgia, Oregon, Oklahoma, Utah all win.
Well, my number 1 would be Alabama.
Yes.
Followed by Ohio State.
Okay.
Clemson.
Okay.
Then my number 4 would probably be Georgia.
See, this is where it gets tricky for me. I like Alabama in there. At number 1, of course. I think Ohio State would be number 2. Clemson is not, they're undefeated, but they haven't really proven to me much. If Georgia can win this week...
They've played a really, really soft schedule.
I like Georgia over Clemson.
If Clemson is undefeated, they would still, in my mind, be ahead of Georgia.
Okay. Even though Georgia's played the tougher schedule?
Yeah. They're the reigning champs. They're still undefeated. They're still playing in the ACC. Granted, they played Wofford past week.
They almost lost to North Carolina.
Yep.
Clemson right now is ranked third in the AP third in the coaches poll, fourth in the AP poll. I mean, Utah's knocking on the door. If they can win out, including the Pac-12 championship, and Penn State were to lose, Georgia were to fall at some point. Now, in regards, again, I said LSU loses by 8, and I said 8 because if it's 10 or fewer, LSU may still stay in the top 4.
I agree. They've already knocked off 3 top 10 opponents.
Which is a brutal schedule to ask of them.
It is. It is the toughest schedule. So that's why I would agree with the AP. They should be number 1. Look who they have defeated.
But even if they lose to Alabama by 10 or fewer, 9 or fewer, in single digits and they lose, or even if they lose in overtime, do you knock them out of the top 4?
If it's a close game, they're probably out of the top 4, but they'd be right there at number 5.
See, I think you bump Clemson out. If LSU were to play the number... I'm still not high on Clemson. I'm sorry.
Me too.
I'm
hoping
sorry.
Penn State continues to do well, because I don't know why Clemson keeps getting so many first-place votes.
If Penn State beats Minnesota this Saturday...
The polls should be about who have you played this year, what have you done on the field this year. And I feel like some of these first-place votes that still get going to Clemson are based on this is what they did a year ago.
Yeah.
Because look, they haven't beat anybody. Their schedule is super soft. Their best challenge, really their only challenge still on the schedule, is when they play Wake Forest in a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
they played one ranked team, which was Texas A&M in week 2. They have not played and defeated a ranked team since then.
Again, number 5 Penn State 8-0 faces Minnesota at Minnesota. By the way, ranked number 13th. That's a big game for the Big Ten and a needed win for the Big Ten as well from Penn State if possible. Again, LSU Alabama's a 130 time.
If Penn State wins and Clemson wins, I think that Penn State would go ahead of Clemson.
I could see that.
I mean, all things being equal, LSU and Alabama, there's going to be movement there.
Yeah.
But whoever wins that game should be number 1. But if everybody else wins, I think Penn State should be ahead of Clemson.
Couple of quick news tidbits from college football. Willie Taggart, former Florida State coach, has been let go. In fact, here's a list of the coaches who were fired within the 4 seasons of their hiring during or after a merely mediocre season. We'll say 5 or more wins, right? Lane Kiffin at USC, Randy Shannon at Miami, Mike Schill at Alabama, Charlie Strong at Texas, Tyrone Whittingham at Notre Dame, and Ron Zook at Florida. He now joins that list. One of the big candidates for that job now, guess who?
Lane Kiffin.
You betcha. Give me some. I'd love to. Just, come on, for kicks and giggles. For entertainment purposes only. I just want to see it. I really want to see him be the head coach of Florida State just because it'd be fun.
Which, it's just a celebrity hire. That's all it is. I mean, Lane Kiffin hasn't exactly had a great track record. So it's just because he's great for social media, he's great for interviews. But as a head coach, he doesn't necessarily have a great track record.
No. No, not at all.
So you're going to put yourself in this situation again in a few seasons.
All right, we're going to take a break. Coming back, we'll wrap it up and get you ready for all Utah State football Aggie talk. Whether you like it or not, strap tight, buckle up. This is going to be a roller coaster, to say the least.
And what else happened in the Mountain West over the weekend?
over the weekend?
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
If you're a guy turning 8...
I hate this board.
What's going on over there, Ajay?
Leave me alone, dude. It's been a rough weekend. You got 20 seconds.
Okay, here's what happened in the Mountain West over the weekend. We'd already talked about Utah State. We mentioned Boise State beat San Jose. Air Force beating Army 17-13. Colorado State over UNLV 37-17. Nevada beating New Mexico 21-10, and Fresno State on the islands in a close one, 41-38.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Well, congratulations to the Miami Dolphins and their head coach, Brian Flores, getting their first win of the season. At least I think we're supposed to congratulate them. The win knocks them out of the top spot for the 2020 draft. That would belong to the Bengals if the season ended today. Miami finds itself tied with the Redskins, Jets, and Falcons with 1 win apiece. The Dolphins face the Bengals in Week 16 in that dramatic showdown that could be for the top pick. But Miami might be playing too well under veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's also not quite clear who would be the first pick overall. Not sure if tanking for Tua is still a thing since the Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa hurt his ankle. Maybe it's LSU quarterback Joe Burrow or Oregon's Justin Herbert. Or maybe it's not a quarterback at all. The draft's a long way away, so if I'm a Dolphins fan, it's too early to panic. Yeah, you beat the Jets, but Miami is still plenty bad enough to get a very high pick come next April. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.